Hello and welcome to McChat's commentaries here on McG TV, youtube.com/Mike McG As always, I'm your host, Mike McG, and I am joined once again by a fellow Three Geeks commentator, content provider. I don't know what I'm saying.
Overall good guy.
Overall good guy. Max Andrews joins me here in the McChat cave, I guess.
Hello, thank you.
And so what we're going to be doing today is, if you've listened to some commentaries from here before, I've done a couple of feature-length commentaries for the couple of the Spider-Man movies with Mark Espinoza, but a recent Marvel project has been out for a while, since April, that Max and I are both very diehard fans about, and that is...
Yeah, that's probably the understatement of the century.
Yes. Like the little engine that could, basically taking, I don't know, how would you rate Daredevil? Is he a B-lister, a C-lister in Marvel?
Daredevil is a B-lister, just
Okay.
because he doesn't have laser beams or anything like that. So I'd say that puts him. I mean, he's still got to use his fists,
Yeah. And so, yeah, taking kind of a B-list Marvel hero who's had his turn at the big screen or in live action adaptations a couple of times, actually. There was one where he was in the Incredible Hulk TV movie, I think. And then there was, of course, the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner thing. Tragedy. Yep. And then he finally found his redemption, I feel, in this Netflix series that has kickstarted a whole new set of franchises for Marvel, in the sense that now Netflix is the place I want to go for like really thoroughly enjoyable Marvel entertainment. The movies are great and all, but like what they're doing with Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I didn't think, or when they said they're doing Daredevil, obviously, all we had to think about is Ben Affleck, and I was a little worried, but the show, it's like HBO quality. You could find the same quality in all the HBO shows, which I really like, and I didn't expect. So like that's why this one really caught me, just because it was way better than I thought it was going to be, and like Marvel and Netflix, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And well, you know what? We'll get into more of like why this show works so well and why I feel this format is perfect for this type of character. But yeah, what we're gonna do is a little fan commentary here in the midst of this week of Star Wars extravaganza, whatever hullabaloo. You get a little Marvel here with some fan commentary on season 1, episode 1, Into the Ring. And basically what you got to do first is just get your Netflix set up there, get episode 1 of the first season set up there, and just make sure it's on, 0 or, 1 second. It doesn't matter. Just make sure it's kind of paused at the start there, and you can join in with us. And now you're not going to hear the audio of the show in our broadcast here, because we don't want to interfere with your broadcast of the show.
Legal reasons.
Yep, and legal and so forth would be kind of difficult, as it were. So this is going to be a challenge too, because we're watching from 2 separate locations on 2 separate computers, trying to coordinate ourselves along with you. So, we'll see if this works. Now, I'm going to count down from 3. I'll go 3, 2, 1, play. When no, not yet. Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding.
Mulligan. So I'm going to hit 3, 2, 1, play. When you hear play, press play, and we'll be off and running with the Netflix intro and that killer Daredevil's opening title, I think.
Mike, I gotta be honest. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to do the Lethal Weapon 3, 2, 1, go, or 3, 2, go on 1.
Nuts. Oh man, sorry, Murtaugh.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Well, you didn't take a sniper shot from me. So, all right, you ready, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1, play. And Netflix, the brand new TV logo is a Marvel Studios logo, or just regular Marvel logo. Okay.
Yep, Marvel.
Yep. Oh yeah, because they're 2 separate entities now. It's no longer all one thing. Now, immediately, like this opening with the origin got me hooked right away.
Yeah, it's it's like kind of hazy when it's right at the accident for Matt Murdock's truck accident, and they don't really give you anything. Like, they just throw you right into it, and I love that.
Yeah. And fun little factoid, because I'm such a Ninja Turtles nut too, is that like when they created the Ninja Turtles, this origin was paralleled with that in a way. Like the canister of toxic ooze or whatever that mutates the turtles came from the same truck that blinded Matt Murdock, apparently, in their universe.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But there is a lot of parallels between Daredevil and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because Daredevil fights the hand
Mm-hmm.
while the Ninja Turtles fight the foot.
Yep. Well, I mean, they took.
Uh, Daredevil's master is Stick, and the Turtles' master is Splinter. So like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that they pulled, which I really love. That's great.
Meanwhile, this kid is actually like this kid's acting is like pretty good
It
for
wasn't bad, but also they didn't give him a lot of exposure, so which is great, because child actors are notoriously terrible.
right, right. And I mean, yeah, he's young and stuff, and consistency probably would be kind of an issue. Now, Charlie Cox, on the other hand,
Yes.
consistency all around. And I feel like this monologue he does in the confessional immediately sells you on this Murdoch character. What were your initial thoughts when you heard who was going to be playing Murdoch? Not
Uh,
Murdoch, Murdoch.
I'm still too old for this shit, but no, I didn't really know what to think. I'd seen Charlie Cox in a couple, I want to say, minor roles, or like, I want to say, or a movie that didn't really do that great. So I wasn't sure how to feel about it. But since I assumed that the whole thing was going to be terrible, I was just like, okay, whatever, man. Like, we'll just see how it goes. So I didn't really. I was kind of trying to keep an air of indifference about
Yeah.
Charlie Cox, just because I hadn't seen him in a bunch of stuff, and I this is Netflix's first go at the Marvel TV shows, so I didn't want to get my hopes up for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd heard that he was like in Stardust, which I never saw, so that
Right.
speaks to that appeal. But that he showed up in Boardwalk Empire for a little bit, and
Yeah, yeah, I like that show, but he only had like a minor part, and then I think spoilers for that. I think he gets killed off like the season that he shows up.
mhm.
So, so like, yeah, there's not just a whole bunch of exposure for him, which is honestly turned out to be great, because I don't want to see him as anything else. I don't want to think of him in any other role.
It's very much like the Christopher Reeve thing. Like with other people who have stepped into Marvel roles, like Robert Downey Jr.'s done a pretty good job of just being like, "Oh yeah, I am Iron Man," and Chris Evans, even though people knew him as Human Torch and things like that before or from other movies,
Right.
has pretty much settled in the Captain America thing. But this dude really, it was along the lines of like when Christopher Reeve was first discovered as Superman. Like that's what he was known for throughout. And I don't know. I mean, I hope this guy can do other work as well, because I never
But
like
yeah, you don't want him to get like shoehorned into the role or whatever. Like, never
yeah.
get any more work after Daredevil. That would be terrible.
Yeah,
But
because even though we have our actors who we love as those characters, like I never like to hear about actors getting typecast. Like it just depresses me for some reason.
yeah, I mean, it's it's no bueno. That's yeah, it's just sad, really, because obviously they had the chops to do that. They could do other things, but because of the like public view of them, you can't do anything else, and I mean, like, that's not cool. But I mean,
Hmm.
nowadays you're seeing a lot more resurgences and reimaginings of people coming back, and people can let go of the because I don't think Daniel Craig is going to get like stuck in his 007 role, even though he's done like 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah.
He's been the Bond for a while now, and I don't think he's going to get stuck in that. I hope Charlie Cox doesn't get stuck in this, but I do love him in this role.
And I gotta say, anyone who can like get that much like emotion across in like it seemed like it was about a minute and 30 some seconds long of a take, like no cuts. And the fact that he, for the most part, and the fact that like he has to portray so much emotion, but the problem is too, he's playing a blind character too, and a lot of emotion can be determined in the eyes for certain roles. To
Right.
be able to convey that kind of anger and despair in there, but also to just have this kind of that gaze that a visually impaired person would have kind of in their affect is
Yeah, I thought he
Nice.
did really well. I mean, of course, I'm not blind, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, if he was doing a good job at that or not.
Hmm.
But I bought it. Like I, I thought he did really well. Acting like he was blind but could still see mostly.
Yeah. What'd you think of the proto Daredevil suit?
Oh, I loved it because the Man Without Fear, the Frank Miller run on Daredevil is my favorite Daredevil storyline. So they really just pulled heavily from that, and it was perfect. I thought I love that he wasn't in the actual Daredevil outfit for most of the season. And then, I'm sorry, I'm just like getting lost in this fight scene. The fight scenes are so
Yeah.
good.
Speaking of like Miller S, like this is the grittiest, and it's like so far out of all the Marvel products, this is the grittiest, most down to earth. I mean, they're talking about like kidnapping women and selling them as like sex slaves.
Oh yeah, I mean, like they were literally throwing them in the container, like in this scene.
Like you'll
And
never. He's breaking legs all over. It's like, geez.
yeah, this is the only, or one of the only times in the series where I thought he was just a little too slow for the gunfight. Like there's no way he actually dodged that.
Yeah, he
But
was, especially at that range too.
right, but this is the only time that you really get a feel like, well, I gotta make believe like he missed. But
Hmm.
like, for the most part, it's so good and he's so fast. Like I just love the action in this series. Like,
And I get like serious, like almost even Nolan vibes off of this, like the Batman Begins first night out where he's fighting in the warehouse area
yeah.
and jumping amongst those crates and everything. It's very much like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally. Who are you? I'm
If he was
Daredevil.
just hanging upside down there right behind him, be like, oh, now you're just ripping him off. Okay,
But no, it was so good. And then yeah, like
that
you're
was
saying, this
cool.
is the darkest. Oh, okay, let's just watch Daredevil beat the crap out of some dude for 5 minutes, just laying into him. Goodness sake. But yeah, this is like no other Marvel media gave you any inkling that they were gonna be this dark, and then just like, like they showed blood, people get shot and stabbed, and
Hmm.
they didn't do that in any of the Batman movies. You didn't see one drop of blood in any of those movies.
Oh yeah, definitely, that's true. Like the Nolan stuff, despite being ultra violent, was relatively clean.
Mm. And,
Now,
oh, sorry, go
this.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, this is one of my all-time new favorite title sequences.
Yeah,
This,
it's got this crazy, like, I don't know. It reminds me of, do you remember the ooze in Ghostbusters too?
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Vigo's ooze underneath.
yeah, I don't know why it always takes me back to that, but like this is really cool. I thought it was just different, and it's like blood, or sort of like a running wax kind of deal,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's really cool.
Now, one thing I noticed too in the credits is like they got a couple of like good showrunners on here, like Drew Goddard. I believe he collaborated with Whedon, right? For the was it Cabin in the Woods?
Yes, yes.
Yes. And for wasn't he attached to the Spider-Man stuff they were doing at Sony for a while with the reboot?
I'm not. I couldn't speak to that. I don't want to say yes
Hmm.
and be totally wrong.
I thought I thought for a while like he was attached for like Sinister Six stuff, and
Oh yes, I think, yeah. I'm pretty sure I heard that too. Yeah, he was gonna do the next level of Amazing Spider-Man stuff, but that
yeah.
all fell through.
But I mean that's kind of cool. They got people who very much know this genre. Like they got him involved in it. They got I think Stephen DeKnight, who worked a lot on I believe Buffy and Angel stuff and a little bit of Smallville. So it's like
Hmm. They're all
definitely
Whedon
alums.
proteges.
Yeah. And speaking of like Whedon-esque type dialogue and stuff, here comes the banter between Foggy and Matt.
Yeah. Oh man, I was just happy to see what's his face from Mighty Ducks get some work.
One of the Bash brothers.
Yeah, man. I wanted it, like, it was weird that they gave him like baseball as his thing in this show, but I was like, man, if he picks up a hockey stick, I'm going to lose
That
it.
would have probably been a great
A
like
little nod.
Easter egg.
Or
I
even if
mentioned,
you, like, threw it away, like hockey, blah, who plays that?
or even a sarcastic quack.
Oh, that'll be good. Yeah, I mean, there's always season 2. We can keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, here's hoping. Out of everything I'm looking forward to in season 2, here's hoping there's more Mighty Ducks references.
Yeah, at least, I mean, I just want one. If I can get one, I will die happy.
There we go. Now, something I mentioned with the when I first reviewed this series way back when it came out in April, one thing about this I really kind of enjoyed was how this is the most realistic sounding I've heard the Marvel characters be in a long time. Like, I love Robert Downey Jr.'s quipping, and I love kind of the platitudes they start to preach about in the movies and everything like that. And it's really well written dialogue, but this is the most natural sounding because they're so down to earth. They're real people,
Right.
essentially.
And this is I also like when I first watched this scene. He's in with the realtor that just moved into their new, or they're looking to get a new office.
Right.
And, Matt meets the realtor, has her walk him around. I was like, this is, I don't know, even this little scene, I just liked it because you're like, Matt always knows when the chick is hot, which is a Daredevil trope. Like, nobody gets more booty than Matt Murdock.
Yeah, he's a player. Well, that's not just a Matt Murdock trope; it's a Ray Charles thing too, apparently.
Oh yeah, that's the. And these blind guys just got it going on, but no, I thought this was really cool, and just from these things, you could tell how much work they were doing to make it look real and feel real. And then they're talking about the incident from the movie. Like, they touch on everything. I liked how they integrated this series in with the movies and everything, but like, it wasn't heavy-handed like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything like that. It was real subtle and real nice.
Well, I've said before that I feel the reason S.H.I.E.L.D., I mean, aside from S.H.I.E.L.D., being directly involved with bigger characters like the Avengers or, more colorful worlds, is also the fact that since it's on a mainstream network like ABC, it has to be more heavy-handed with its references in order to get the wide appeal. Whereas with Netflix, they can afford to be a little bit more mature, such as we see here with Blood. And
it's like, oh goodness, what did I do?
And then you realize this is a totally different type of Marvel property going on here. It's like you never see like this, like even in the Captain America movies, in the Winter Soldier, where people are getting like headshot and stuff, you never ever saw blood really.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's another one. But now, I mean, even this, like, they're getting handcuffed. She's like staring into a dead man's eyes. Like,
jeez,
just a lot of, a lot of like gritty. Oh no, I love it. I love this show so much.
Now,
you never see any of this stuff coming out of Netflix, coming out of Marvel.
Definitely, it's a very much more dynamic and darker approach that they've had for anything, really. And this is following hot on the heels of a talking raccoon.
Like, that's what I was like. Oh man, I don't. If the tone they got just right, I really feel like they just hit every note just perfectly. And here we go, the introduction to Karen Page.
Yeah, what did you think of Karen Page in this series?
I liked her a lot. I thought she could easily be the down, like not the best part of it. Like, her and Foggy, I thought held the most potential to bring the show down.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she did great. I really liked her.
Yeah. Well, my main concern with her after this first episode was that, oh, well, that's her story, I guess, and she's just gonna kind of be a sidekick hanging around. But no, like everyone gets a really full and fulfilling arc in this entire first season. Yeah. Like, it's not just they're not just like featured for one episode and then dropped.
Everyone gets their time. Everyone gets their due. It was like the first meeting of Matt Murdock and Karen Page. I'm wondering if they're going to take their relationship to the next level.
I think so. I think they have said that there's going to be a little bit more kind of building of that relationship. And more of the triangle here, because obviously Foggy is into her.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I mean, she's a little into him as well, but she's also very into Matt. And
oh yeah, she's head over heels for Matt though.
But the thing is, what I liked about Matt, especially in this first season, was that it didn't go into kind of overly sappy romantic stuff for the most part. There's some stuff with Rosario Dawson a little bit later in the series, which I mean, but it's not like holding the focus, and a lot of the dramatic tension isn't determined by like will they or won't they so much,
right?
Because for the most part, like Matt, he's solely focused on one objective or one goal for most of the series, and everything else is kind of just distractions, which I thought was really kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't overly sappy or anything like that, or it's like it wasn't. They don't do that thing where he's got like an annoying girlfriend that he's got to get rid of, or like yada yada yada. There's just a bunch of bullshit they decided not to deal with.
Well, like I kind of compare it to like Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale from the '89 Batman, where I'm just like, I'm down with Michael Keaton's Batman for the most part, except the Batman fan of me was kind of like, Bruce Wayne would never, essentially fuck around with his lady's emotions on a lark, really. But they're like, oh, he's falling in love, except of course she doesn't come back for the next movie. So it's like, I guess that love thing didn't really last, huh?
Nah, I'm Batman. I can't do love.
But with this one, you can buy Matt Murdock would, because he's not, even though he's a darker character, he's not quite to the obsessive point as Bruce Wayne is.
No, he's way more in touch with his emotions.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's something I thought worked way better in this show than what they did in like the movie and everything like that, is the depiction of his senses. Whereas in the movie, they do that thing, like if you could tell someone was lying, they'd actually do the X-ray special effects shot on the heart beating inside the person's chest. Whereas here, it's just more like, it's more implied.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they'll give you the close up from like behind his ear, or they'll like kind of give you that little weird tunnel vision sort of thing, like when he's doing it. But they didn't want to waste money on stupid special effects that don't really enhance the show. And they did a great job with it. Like he's listening to her heart. You can kind of hear the heartbeat. They do the sound, over it a little bit, real faint, and something's going on. But obviously, you don't need to see their heart beating to know that they're lying.
Exactly. Like, I mean, that just shows like how sensible and I guess efficient they were with their budget for a TV budget, as opposed to whatever they did in the 2003 movie, where they're just like, we need some kind of zany special effects. Let's waste it here on showing how this person's lying by showing their heart up close and personal. Like, thank you for that.
Their heart's beating fast. They must be lying.
Yeah. But it's one of those deals. It's like, I feel that really brought this series, and in a way Jessica Jones too, like that series, down to a very real, very homespun type of like aesthetic. Like Kilgrave's power in Jessica Jones, you could easily show like his power at work in some fancy special effects way, but instead it's just him ordering people what to do, and they're just so, you can tell in their face like they don't want to, but they do it.
Yeah, I like it when he tells someone to do something just absolutely batshit crazy, and there's that half second where they're like, I don't want to take a spoon and jab my eye out, but then, they just go.
But that's another commentary for another time.
This scene too, I thought was really good. The little extortion that they got going on.
Yeah, speaking of getting people to do what you want them to do, holy cow.
Yeah, you can either have superpowers or threaten their daughter live with a live YouTube feed.
That when I saw this, even though I kind of had a feeling of where it was going to go, like, okay, this guy's going to strong arm him, but then I'm just like, how exactly? And then that dude waves. I'm just like, holy crap.
Yeah, and he just looks super creepy. You got to feel like if you were that guy in that situation, it's like all the walls crushing down on you. Like that's just absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Live, so this is cool. It's not like because back in the day, it was a good use of new technology. Because they'd be like, "Hey, I know where your daughter goes to school," and yada yada. They'd like rattle off her dorm room and her class schedule just to make the guy know that that they've been following her around. But this is so much easier. It's like a real clean. Like I'm just gonna show you this live feed of the dude about to hurt your daughter.
Yeah, efficiency, which. That's the thing, is like, that's what I liked about the villain in this series, who we'll eventually get to, but is that it's more just about efficiency for the first half, and then it becomes emotional in the second half.
Yeah, yeah. Are we just not gonna mention his name?
Well, I mean, we
What's
can. Yeah.
his employer? What's Wesley's employer? There we go.
Wesley's employer, which really weird too, because I feel like at times the writers and the producers of the show were making fun of the 2003 movie, because there was an assistant named Wesley in that movie too.
Yeah,
I tried to look up the character to see if that's an actual like Marvel character, but no, like I never saw or even like a parallel to him in the.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't recall him ever being anybody, of note. Kingpin usually, like, you see in the comic books, you see like the Kingpin, and he'll like make a phone call or whatever, but or he'll bark an order at somebody, but it's usually like him doing whatever, and there's no like a lot. What I liked about this was you don't see the Wesley's employer for like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And then and that's smart. That's actually how it would be. You have this guy running around doing all the things that he would be doing, but there's obviously he's getting the strings pulled.
Who is honestly equally as intimidating.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, he's just as kind of like creepy as as the big bad is. And also I feel like this is kind of, scenes like this where they're trying to kill Karen in prison and everything like that is trying to show off like just the extent of his power, the reach and influence he has, essentially. And ultimately, it's not just one man you got to be on the lookout for. It's like whoever's under his thumb,
right,
can be driven to do these horrible things.
And it's just you're starting to get the scope, because obviously like that was the guy that they were blackmailing, the guard, to kill Karen.
Yep.
So you just they let like this dude has got this guy has got the I don't know the word I'm looking for, the power to do like whatever he wants pretty much, and it's gonna get done.
Right. Now this is stuff like, at this point he's only been in the costume once in the very opening,
right?
And sometimes that would be kind of irksome to me. I'm like for example, something like if that happened on Arrow and he only showed up in costume once, which sometimes that does happen. But at the same time, it's like I find this procedural stuff and all these meetings actually really fascinating. And like, again, it has to deal with the dialogue and the performances.
Yeah. And like this cop that you fucking hate.
Yeah. Well, as we find out,
cop number 1.
As we find out, there's like one nice cop in this entire.
Yeah. I thought that was cool, and that cop, the oh god, what's his name? Mulroney?
I want to say it's Mulroney or something.
But he's cool, and he hops over to the Jessica Jones series for the kind of tie-in, which is really cool. So that's something to look for if you're going to watch the Jessica Jones series.
Now, that's the thing, is like those series. This is all taking place in this neighborhood, but this series makes Hell's Kitchen seem like a world unto itself. Which
right, it's like 4 blocks or something.
Yeah, it's like I've walked through Hell's Kitchen. It's like that's not that extensive, but at the same time, cool.
But also, it's really, really cool just because he wouldn't, like, that's all he's trying to do is protect this little area. He's one guy, and I mean, just because apparently all the crime in New York happens there, it doesn't stop him. But I like that too. Just like they make his world seem big, but it's actually not. He doesn't take a wide area. Like
right. Well, I mean, that's very much what they try to do with carving up the Marvel universe. Like the Avengers handle a lot of the bigger stuff, worldwide stuff. I'm sure they'll establish when he comes around that Spider-Man is a Queens-based kind of hero and so forth, and Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage all have this little area to kind of defend, as it were. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like they're neighbors and stuff, but that doesn't mean they have to see them all together all the time.
Right. And I mean, there's how many 4 million people in the city? Like, you know, how many would really know each other anyway?
Yep.
I
Now
mean,
she's kind of laying out, you know, the transactions that she stumbled upon and the accounts and everything like that that got her in trouble, essentially. And this is really laying the groundwork for not necessarily a world-threatening situation, but you know, it's down to earth. It's real. It's like this stuff happens in real life. I'm sure.
yeah, like, you know, that whistleblower down, and the one dude blew the whistle on the NSA, and he had to go to Russia. So like, this is, you know, actual stuff that could go down. And then again, that's like, it just speaks to how good they did of making it a very personal, very real street level thing.
Very much so. And I like her performance a lot in this. She's really like giving it her all. Like from that opening scene where she is just horrified about what's in front of her too.
Wakes up holding a bloody knife and a dead man in front of her.
But then this whole idea that where she's still, you know, where she's got to play like she's being honest, but she's still keeping something back. And the fact that, you know, you can have Matt kind of play into that without giving away his hand too, that he senses, oh yeah, she's keeping something from me.
Yeah.
But I can't let her in on that.
I mean, you know what we could really use right here is like an X-ray view of her heart beating.
We need to zoom in. We need to zoom in on her eye to show that her pupil is contracting an ever so slight way, even though he wouldn't be able to see that.
Oh no, he can sense the vibration of her pupil.
Yeah, he can. Oh, you zoom in on her forehead and you see this bead of sweat just start trickling down, and you hear it go blah, 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 blah. Oh my god.
But, you know, Deborah Ann Woll did a great job as Karen Page. Yeah, her performance is really good.
She was originally from True Blood, right?
Yes, she was in True Blood. Unfortunately, we don't hold that. I mean, again, like when I heard Daredevil was so much better than the sum of its parts, just because when I heard, you know, Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil, who is that? Deborah Ann Woll is going to be in it. She was in that shitty True Blood show, like.
The Mighty Ducks guy.
Yeah, the Mighty Ducks guy is gonna be in it. Great. What has he done since the Mighty Ducks? Like, yeah, I it's so much better than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, it's like they really. I think when you just give an actor something substantial to work with, they'll bring their A game.
Yeah,
if they're up for the challenge, and all these people clearly are. Like I said, this is the most enjoyable cast, you know. In a kind of, I guess it would be considered kind of a group drama, as it were. Or,
yeah.
What would you call it?
I would go with group drama. That works for me.
Yeah. I mean, Matt is the main character, but the supporting characters have equal footing and everything.
Yeah. Like that. Oh, totally. And they all, you know, they all grow and they all have their own biz going on. So, and you're interested in everybody. That's the thing. Like, they did a really good job of keeping you interested in everybody.
Yeah. Now, this apartment. I gotta say, this is a really nice apartment.
You know,
for a guy who just started up his own law firm
in New York City.
In New York City, in this neighborhood that is going through redevelopment hell, he bagged himself a pretty swanky pad.
Yeah, well, you know. It is television. They got to have a cool apartment, or else what are you doing with your life, you know?
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I buy this way more than Affleck's Daredevil cave that he had, because he had
the attic or whatever the Daredevil is. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, or something like that, where he had like 7 different combination locks. He knew how to stop at exactly the right time. Yeah,
that was super cool. I mean, that movie was just good. I'm really surprised they were able to improve on it. Please don't take me seriously. Don't watch the Daredevil movie, anybody who might be listening.
Or if you do watch the Daredevil movie, watch it with the intention of laughing your ass off.
Yes.
Watch it with a Riff Tracks track or something. It's really good.
Yeah, they...
Something I noticed, too. This is the first time... I mean, there's been... swear words and stuff like that before.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time there's like, whoa, side boob.
Yeah, side boob.
That ties into what I was saying before I lost my train of thought there. There was this is the first time like they really kind of let loose with some very frank language and also some very frank like not so much maybe here in this series, but when you get to Jessica Jones, oh my god,
yeah.
she swears like a sailor and shags like
a sailor.
A sailor.
But yeah, no, it's they weren't afraid of anything here, and even though they were, they limited themselves, like because you don't really you saw side boob there, but you don't ever like see a pair of tits.
Mm-hmm.
And they I don't know, they were just weird how they kept everything reined in, so it doesn't ever get too crazy. Like I still tell my mom like this one's cool to watch, or whatever, but. Or I even say like if your kid's 10 to 15 or whatever, you can have them watch it. It's not gonna mess them up more than anything else. But they also get pretty graphic, like what's going on. So like, yeah, they walk that line really well.
I was about to ask you, it's like what the age range you would think would be appropriate for this show. It's
I would show this to my 5-year-old kid, but I would be a horrible parent. So. But no, I talked to some people who had kids, and they're like, "Well, yeah, I really wanted to watch it, but I think I'm gonna wait." And they're around the 9 or 10 range, so I'd say 12 years old.
Okay. Probably. Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, definitely, it's like don't expect any Happy Meal toys in the near future for this show.
That would be really interesting.
Decapitated Russian sold separately.
Yeah, dude. Or like the Russian, like his head comes off. You get the pin with the car toy, so you can smash the Russian's head, and like grape jelly comes out of there or something.
Oh man, we're getting into spoilers here, but Ben Urich casket is sold with every Happy Meal.
Yeah. Oh man. But I mean, like. Little things like she's still got that ring around her neck
from the guy choking her. Yeah,
like they keep the details like that throughout the whole show. Like it's it takes her a few episodes to heal that. Like,
I mean, again, that's why I really appreciated about the fact that it wasn't just a one and done for her story. Is the fact that the following episode you see she's still dealing with the trauma of this whole experience. Like it's something that doesn't leave her. Which is good because any other show, maybe they would have had kind of the ramifications for a couple of episodes, but then they would have immediately dropped those characteristics for the sake of something else.
Yeah.
I mean, she gets happier, or she takes more control and gets assertive and stuff like that, but it feels more like a natural progression for that character as opposed to like, oh, well, we need to start something new with this character for the sake of it because ratings are slumping or whatever, which I feel is an added advantage to being able to do 13 episodes right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Not to worry about trending ratings and things like that.
Yeah, that's the new, like, Netflix is bringing a new kind of view to the TV show. You hadn't really had this opportunity before, so the technology kind of, allowed them to do something different, and it really worked out. What I really like about this scene is you find out that, Matt Murdock is really smart. Like he's able to tell, he knows something, he knows what questions to ask. And so that even if she lies, he gets the answer that, this is the truth.
Yeah.
And I just really like how they did that, where it wasn't, he's just kind of stumbling about and these things happen. And, he's punching some dude and that guy says, and he follows the breadcrumbs that way. It's he figures things out. He's like, okay, why are they trying to kill this girl? Why? Like the first time they weren't trying to kill her, they just set her up. And so there's something really off about this. I feel like a lot of people would have just let that whole thing slide,
Yeah,
and kind of just had him stumble onto the plot some other way.
Well, especially in his delivery too. They mentioned this on another podcast somewhere, but his performance it's so like calculated. It's not cold or emotionally cut off, but he's just so like reserved in a way, which I think it was on the Fat Man on Batman thing. Mark Bernard was saying like the reason he's carrying himself in that way is because of the fact all his senses are amplified. What would someone who can basically hear everything, what would he sound like? He'd be a quieter, not timid, but at the same time more reserved type of performance.
Yeah, it was so good. And here we meet the Cabal.
Yeah.
um, everybody except for Wesley's employer, and it's cool because this like Nobu, um,
Al,
yeah,
or well, he's
Owlsley,
not called Owlsley. Yeah.
yeah, Leland Owlsley. These are all like Daredevil alums here, and I was just flipped my wig when I think they made up Madame Gao for the Russians for the
But
team.
she's tied to not the is it the Hand? But
Uh,
no, or is it it's another cartel in the Marvel universe or something?
Nobu is tied to the Hand.
Nobu's tied to the Hand. Okay,
And
Madam.
Madame Gao, they show her later on in the series. She's selling drugs called Steel Serpent, and
Yes.
he's a big Daredevil villain.
Yeah, yeah. Like it has the insignia of Steel Serpent on the
Right.
product.
So, and then the drug, they call it Still Serpent. So it's like a play on the thing. It's and it's really good. But they do go deep into the Daredevil roster here, and then they brought out a bunch of just solid villains.
And it's definitely a way of like legitimatizing a lot of the I can't talk right now, sorry. A lot of the more outlandish Marvel villains, because if you've ever seen the original version of the Owl.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even though he is still a crime boss in the comics, it's like not dressed up like that, dude.
Very cartoony and very over the top.
Whereas here he is just played just as a straight up corrupt businessman.
Right. And there's only one the nod they make to that is when he's getting the suit tailored.
Mm-hmm.
All the fabric kind of like fits over him as his Owlsley, Owlman or
feathery. Yeah.
Suit did in the comic book. So they did nod to it. But yeah, like it would have just been so absurd to try to pull that off in this show.
Yeah. Well, especially like I enjoy this actor. I believe it's Bob Gunton.
Yes.
On his own, like you know him as that one doctor who challenged Patch Adams and Patch Adams, and the warden from Shawshank Redemption. I think is his best known one.
I know him from.
Yeah.
The Shank. Oh, what a great movie.
The Shank.
He's pretty much playing the same guy.
I think that's kind of, again, I don't like to typecast people, but that's kind of his character trait, is to be
works.
Something of a condescending dick and everything.
But I liked him in these settings because he's always the one making the snarky comments and just kind of like he says the things you think as a regular person, so they kind of like bring everything down to earth with his commentary, just like, that's weird. Like, why would you like? You're an idiot. I hate you. Like, this is all ridiculous. We could have been making money, and now you're making it personal. Like he's always doing that. And
yeah,
I liked him a lot.
And I also love this alluding to Fisk, but also there's this whole don't say his name.
Oh yeah,
don't you dare. It's like just building him up to be like, okay, when we see him really upset, it's gonna be epic.
And also, like in the comic books, the Kingpin, he's so, it would be like that. Like you don't say his name, and it's impossible to find the links, that show he's behind everything, but he's always behind it. And like they pulled that off in the show really well, where there's at least that one step of separation, all for the first 4 episodes at least, and then from then on it moves on and on and on. But yeah, just a great job, because the Kingpin people don't know he's the Kingpin. He just is.
And he's like an urban myth or whatever.
Right. And
to most.
It was pretty good. And here we go.
Now, is this assassin, is he from the comics originally? I can't.
No, this is that same guy from that was threatening the daughter. They just kind of threw him in for the show. I don't really remember. He might have been a C-list villain or something, or just one of the random henchmen and thugs that you had.
Right. Because I mean, that's the thing. Like a lot of things that they do on this show, but also a lot of things that they do on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things like that, is like they build up people to become like those C-list heroes that you never thought or villains that you never thought you would see. Like kind of what they did for Kyle MacLachlan, him becoming Mr. Hyde on S.H.I.E.L.D. It was like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. And so, but yeah. And we mentioned this before, but like I love the fighting, and like even though it is like dark and gritty and stuff, it's close quarters, and the combat is like believable.
Brutal. It's
and
brutal.
Yeah. Oh, when we get to the next episode, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The next episode is the pièce de résistance.
Definitely.
But this is good. Now something you're gonna like. I want to make a Daredevil drinking game where it's like whenever he falls down at least one floor, you drink because
yeah, I can.
they're always coming out of or going through something like this.
Anytime someone does like a flip like that in this,
Yep, you drink. You get pretty hammered by the end of the show, but yeah, all the fighting is so good. The fight choreography is great, and I mean, it's just even that like it's not like Daredevil is perfect. He gets there. They go out the window.
Oh yeah, he gets beat up.
He gets beat up. He gets knocked around. He gets tired. That's the other. They just show him tired sometimes. Like yeah. I'm tired of beating people with my fists. I need to breathe right now.
I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I saw this image of him in the rain, like trying to get up and stuff in the first trailer for the show, I was hooked because I'm like, there's blood coming out of his mouth and he's just beat down. Like, oh, I can get behind this. That's cool.
Yeah, I allowed myself little bits of hope. Like they showed you, little snippets. You saw like a little bit of a fight scene, and you're like, well, this could be, it could be, and it is. But yeah, oh man, it's so good. Everything's just so good.
And I like this relationship with the dad, even though the dad's only in
3 episodes, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe 3. Not even that. Maybe 2 even. I want to say, but like. That's the thing too. This show has over the movie is that it doesn't have to rush these moments too. And what these Netflix shows are doing right now too, being able to tie in the past with what's going on in the present, like the origins of these characters, pretty well.
Yeah, and yeah, they do the origin thing where it's not like, okay, here is like the origin, and you spend 45 minutes getting past that, and yada yada yada, and it's the worst part of the movie or the worst part of the show. And they'll just give it to you in the flashbacks, and they give you, 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes of it, and you pick up on the rest. You're like, they don't need to show you everything.
And it just shows like the ability for these writers to be able to craft such a well-placed narrative. Because let's face it, if this was on any other show as well, where it dealt with like flashbacks, for example, the like flashbacks would be kind of written into kind of very much be convenient for what's going on in the present.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas you feel like this is the natural progression of the character.
Right.
And that it would make sense for him to kind of remember this. Why do we fall, Master Murdoch?
Oh, man. I just love these fight scenes. And kudos, like, I don't know if any of you've seen The Raid, but I like a lot of the fight scenes to that movie. It's also quick and just very again, like I said, he gets tired, he gets knocked around, and it's like that's how a fight would go, like a street fight. Of course they're all super badass martial artists, so
well that's the whole thing, is that one of them is, the other one has a little bit of martial arts training from another blind dude, but is very just good with reflexes. And that's what I kind of like about Daredevil, because he mixes in a little bit of everything. He's got a little bit of the jiu-jitsu and, martial arts stuff, but at the same time, he's the son of a boxer. He's a brawler.
Right.
So of course he's going to get into a little bit of that, I guess, drunken style fighting, as it were.
And here we go with the powers again.
Yeah, sorry we're getting so quiet. I'm just enthralled. Even without the sound,
I've seen this episode probably 15 times, and I still, it still does it for me. I'm like, yeah, is he gonna win? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he broke his neck at that point. Like, I was like, oh crap.
Wow, yeah, no, but
straight up murdered that dude.
No, they also did a really good thing of like, yeah, Daredevil doesn't kill people. Now, he doesn't mind throwing you off a 4-story building and into a dumpster, but he won't kill you.
I was kind of expecting that line to come up. He's like, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. Yeah. I was like, really? We're gonna go there? What the hell?
No, don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like this scene was just, I mean, like great fight scene in the rain, beautifully shot. I mean, they were actually in New York for a bunch of this.
I like that's very Marvel superhero-ish. It's very either Daredevil or Spider-Man like to just drop the bad guy off at the steps of the police station
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a note.
That's definitely a Spider-Man. If you leave the villain like webbed up for the police to find.
Mhm. And yeah, he's here as Wesley talking to our big bad,
Yeah.
who for a while I was kind of wondering if they were gonna pull a Tighter Durden with the Kingpin. I was gonna be like, I don't know why, something about the dynamic between him and Wesley just always struck me. I'm like, is this a real dude he's talking to, or is he just kind of
Yeah,
confabbing with
imagining it.
himself?
I want to rewatch this series without the Vincent D'Onofrio scenes. Could you pull that? Like that would be really interesting. That would have been crazy take on Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio did a great job. But no, that would be really interesting. That's cool. I never had that thought.
And here we go, the start of Nelson and Murdoch, or is it Murdoch and Nelson? I can't
It's
remember.
Nelson and Murdoch,
Nelson and Murdoch.
attorneys at law, avocados.
In the beginnings of this trio of friends.
Nee, 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 nee. I would like to see a Daredevil cut up to the Friends theme. That would be crazy.
They've done it with the Avengers. They can do it with this.
Yeah, I would definitely watch that on the YouTube for free.
It's got to be him narrating the theme song instead of "So no one told you life would ever be this way." Yeah,
I'm still gonna bill you.
and that's the binge worthiness of this series is palpable, because I don't know about you, but as soon as we were coming up here to the end of this episode, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to skip ahead to the next one. Like as soon as I see executive producers or whatever at the end, I'm like, instantly I'm going towards episode 2. I need to see the next one.
Yeah, man, like the Netflix thing where, when the credits roll, it allows you to go to the next episode doesn't happen fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
I was so ready for the next one. It's good, but
Fogwell's gym.
Yep.
Well, like I said, yeah, he's a boxer's kid, so it's like, of course, he's gonna come here to like blow off steam and
get some training in. And it's cool, like he's like, you can turn the lights off, like the little things. I love
Yeah.
it.
I love, immediately as soon as everyone else leaves a scene, he drops kind of the facade that he is, impaired.
Right.
And then just starts walking around normally.
Yeah, I mean, but also too, like you can see he's not really looking at, what he's doing and where he's going.
Right.
All at the same time, he looks like he's going exactly where he needs to. So yeah, it's really cool how they did this. I thought they did a great job.
I like to shout out to Creel, who showed up on Shield.
Did he?
Yeah, he was in the first 2 episodes as Absorbing Man with the power and everything.
Oh, I do remember. Yep, I remember that guy. I did see those episodes.
You expect Captain America to be across the room punching his own punching bag?
That would be cool to see the Daredevil Captain America training sequence.
Nick Fury walks in. Oh, who the hell's that guy? And I love the kind of this wrap up with all these supporting players who serve their purpose for the episode. Just showing, again, like the influence that this dude has to be able to mess with people's lives and end people's lives when needed.
Like loose ends. What the fuck is that? And then here we see Madame Gao's operation. So like they give you a little teaser of just like what's going on with all these bad guys. There's a still servant.
Yeah, that's the logo.
And
so good.
Yeah, like you're just wondering what the hell is going on. A room full of obviously blinded people.
The most evil grandma on TV nowadays. Jeez.
Yep, they give you the whole rundown. Like, get ready. This is
Now, a couple of episodes from now, it goes into a little bit different territory with this character, with Nobu.
yeah. Nobu, he takes a hard left turn.
Yeah, it sets up a very mystical aspect, almost.
Yeah, it's good. Now you see this shady character throughout the show. I'm not sure if he's a Daredevil character either. I don't remember him.
Hmm.
The little thug guy. Can't remember what his
And
name is.
and this is the action that immediately kickstarts the next episode. This is the abduction of the kid.
Yeah, they pull this dude out of his SUV and start kicking the crap out of him.
I was when I first saw this episode without any context of what happens later, I was kind of wondering, like, man, that's a kind of a downer ending. And then as soon as I realized, oh, they're picking back up with it in the next, I'm like, oh, good. I was like, that was the one part. I'm like, oh man, I'm a little depressed now. But thank goodness we have a guardian devil up there.
Yep. And then this is really cool too. Like Daredevil just kind of taking in the scenery or what's going on. Like he just hears everything.
Yeah, very much like how you'd have sometimes scenes of Superman above the earth listening. This is Daredevil listening, and I like it. It's effective. Yeah, and again, like those eyes too. The fact that he's not focusing on anything, but still there's intent.
Looking. All right, so let's just go into the next one, dude. Let's do it.
You want to? You got time?
If you give me a minute to eat, we can pick it back up. But I'm down.
All right. Well, would you want to do a separate cast for this? I'll set up a different hangout.
Set up another one. Give me a half hour.
All right, sure. All right, folks. Well, I mean, you're not listening to this live right now, but just so you know, me and Max are gonna do episode 2 because we need to get to that fight for sure.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I'm itching to see that scene again. I must have watched that scene 800 times, and it's still so good.
Yep. So we'll see you back here in a little bit for episode 2. Let me figure out the title of that one again, and we'll be back in about a half hour or so.
Sounds good.
Bye.
See you guys later.